Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for SteveHearts89. Well, we've got some bad news, or it looks like some bad news, from that harbinger of doom, Ketwolski. Why do I call him that? Because he's always, he's pro-discovery, pro-new Trek, so he's always telling us the good news when he finds out something about Discovery, or Picard, or any of the Kurtzman Trek things that really aren't Star Trek. Okay, so the rumours, there's two rumours because the video he just deals with two issues. The first was Discovery. The rumour was Season 3 was the final season. Season 4 they had been planning to do a Season 4, but they lost the funding when Netflix won the mediation that basically said they didn't have to keep supporting the show because apparently they were supposed to be supporting the show, blah, blah, blah. So with that money gone, CBS wasn't going to fund the show on its own. So they reshot the end of the season to be the end of the series, and that the sets had been pulled down, and that's pretty much the end of the line with a TV show. If the sets are pulled down, they're not coming back. So although I saw no proof of that, I chose to believe that because, Doomcock, he's sort of like the Donald Trump of the science fiction, YouTube fan sort of base, where he tells us what we want to hear, so we believe it. So as much as I judge the Trumpers and all that, I kind of understand on some level why they want to believe Trump when he's obviously lying about stuff. I'm not saying Doomcock's lying about stuff, but he's been wrong a few times. He's been right a few times as well. But, when you're going on other information and rumours and leaks and things from people, you're not always going to get it right. So that's fine. But that was the rumour, and I was very happy to just sleep, listen to that wonderful Doomcockian lullaby and just, be at peace. But apparently Ketwolski had to come in and just, slam us with some facts. Apparently, because he follows a lot of real world information production guides and things for Canada and America and Los Angeles and stuff, and trade articles and websites and stuff like that. So he listed a bunch of them which I'd never heard of before. IATSC, production listings, DGC, hot lists, what were the other ones? A whole bunch of them. And what he found, because he's followed these before, and basically what you see is these places that deal with directors and actors and talent and stuff, they have to list or advertise or various elements of production when they're working in the industry and that. So they're asking for people to work on productions, or they're just listing that they're working on something, they're advertising, look, hey, I'm currently working on this show, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. So that's the stuff he looks at, because you can kind of rely on that because, it's based on people actually working on stuff. So in the past, other seasons have had, because apparently Green Harvest, which is a play on the Star Wars name Blue Harvest, which was, a lot of productions have code names, and Star Wars was Blue Harvest. So apparently Discovery's been Green Harvest. So he's been watching out for it, and in the past he's seen it come up at certain times of the year, sort of saying the same thing, which looks like they're going into production. And apparently it's happening again because we're about to go into San Diego Comic-Con. They're doing an at-home version where they're basically just going to have videos up for people to watch instead of at the actual exhibition or convention. So it looks like they're sort of getting ready to go into production on Season 4, or at least announce that they're going to. Now, sometimes this is a trick where they want to promote something so to make it look like they're confident in that show and it's going to be a hit, so watch it. They announce that they've already greenlit the next season or the next movie, even if they haven't. And this has happened with Star Trek. It happened with Star Trek 4, where they announced it to make Star Trek 3 look better, and then it didn't happen, although it still may happen, but it's the production that they announced was never happened. Was never going to. So basically, there's just stuff up for Green Harvest. There's stuff up with people just talking about it like it's going to happen, like who's involved in that. So I mean, I probably should have written more details about the actual listings he found, but you can always watch his video, which is more informative than mine because I'm just talking about his. But I had to because it was so depressing. And I sort of had to warn some of the Star Trek fans who hate Discovery, who probably don't watch a lot of Ketwolski. I feel like I kind of need to put my videos so that they see them, because they're probably only watching the negative stuff. I'd like to think yeah, whatever. But yeah, so it doesn't look good, but at the same time, I cling to the desperate possibility that these were set up before the show was cancelled, that they were assuming there'd be a season 4, so these are just people who are hoping to be involved in these productions, just sort of setting things up, because often people in Hollywood do that. They talk stuff up they're not actually involved in, hoping to sort of make it a reality, or sort of talk it into reality. So maybe that's what this is, because there's only a little bit of information. But it does look like they are getting ready to go back into production for season 4, because they're doing the same things they did for season 3 and season 2. So it's sad, it's depressing. I want to go back to like the Doomcock fantasy where it's gone and it's cancelled, but I'm not confident in that anymore. Now the second thing he talked about, I'm much less bothered by. He talked about Star Trek 4. Sorry. And with Star Trek 4, God, like I said, they announced it with Beyond, it died. They announced again that it was going to come back, and they had this director, Noah Hawley, involved, and it looked like it might actually happen. But then apparently he had some very specific ideas and started to get very auteur cinema about it, and like, well, this is my vision of Star Trek, this is what I want to do, and I'm not doing what Paramount wants me to do, which I think was mostly using the original, the cast from the other movies and the universe they've basically established. He wants to create his own, and I really don't think they have the money or energy to create a new universe at the moment. They just want him to play in the one they've already set up. So apparently it stalled because of that, and that's the last thing I heard. Now, what Ketwolski found was an interview with Robert Sallin, who's produced other Star Trek, who's worked as a producer on the other Star Trek films, and he apparently proposed some films, or a film to them, to Paramount, and they were talking to him, and what they said to him was, when we see what Noah Hawley does, we'll let you know, basically. So they're talking backwards and forwards to him like it might go somewhere, but they're saying we can't talk seriously until we know what happens with the Noah Hawley film. And Ketwolski, because he's an optimistic and loves New Trek, saw that as, oh, it's happening. I'm like, I don't think so. I think that proves the fact that it's stalled, because if it wasn't stalled, they'd know where they were going. They'd be able to say, well, sorry, we're doing this film. Maybe when we're done with that film, we might produce your film, or we'll look at that. It looks like they're waiting to see what Noah Hawley does, because they've told him do what we want, and he said no, and they're just sitting there at a stalemate, just waiting to see if he moves. If he doesn't move, they're going to have to move on. So that gave me some hope. But I was less bothered by that. I'd much rather see Star Trek Discovery, which is just an abomination of Star Trek. The more I think about it, the worse it becomes. I was far more optimistic before. But the fourth film, because the films don't bother me so much. They're action movies, they're an alternate universe, they don't touch the rest of Star Trek. Even their prime universe is not the canon universe of the original Star Trek. So they're fine. I'm fine for them to be in their little pocket universe of mindless action. I did kind of enjoy the films, especially the first one. So a fourth film with the cast, I really like the cast. I don't mind that happening. Discovery, I want Discovery to die, and Star Trek 4 can happen. I'd rather a different, better Star Trek 4 that's actually a Star Trek film about science fiction exploration, not just another Wrath of Khan ripoff where it's a villain and a battle, and that's because that's what Hollywood thinks Star Trek is, Wrath of Khan. So they keep making the Wrath of Khan over and over again, instead of making Star Trek films like Star Trek 1 and Star Trek 4, which were actual Star Trek films. So it's like you get the bad news on what you don't want, and good news on what you get, whatever. So I would much rather see Star Trek 4 happen than Discovery Season 4, but it looks more likely like Discovery Season 4 is going to happen and Star Trek 4 is not. So that's life of a Star Trek fan. Constant bad news, suffering, and wanting to escape into, the fantasy of haters who, tell us what we want to hear. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've heard anything. Comments are fun. Yeah, I just want it to die. I just want someone to take over Star Trek and actually try and produce a Star Trek show. not just try and remake other shows like Rick and Morty or Game of Thrones or Star Wars or whatever they're trying to make the other Star Treks into. They don't seem to know what Star Trek is. They don't seem to have any confidence in what Star Trek is, and they don't want to make Star Trek. They just want to use the Star Trek brand and licensing to make other shows to appeal to other audiences, which they think are going to get them more ratings. It's just a horror show that Star Trek fans have been living in for the past like 10, 15 years, and I just want it to end. I just want Star Trek back. I miss it. I know I still have the other series on DVD. I can watch them forever. And I'm lucky here in Australia they actually are showing the remastered Star Trek in widescreen with the widescreen special effects on Bold, which is a great name for a channel that shows Star Trek. And they're also showing Voyager and Enterprise, which are kind of my favourite series next to the original and Next Gen. They're not showing Deep Space Nine because that's not really Star Trek. It's like half Star Trek. It's like we took Star Trek and put it in an environment where we could do non-Star Trek things but still say it's Star Trek because the Federation's still over here on the side, which is still better than Discovery where they took the Federation and Star Trek and just made it not Star Trek. But I'm rambling again when I should have ended my video already. I'm going to go. Thanks, bye.